And welcome back to our next episode of the Fitfiliate Podcast. Once again, Andrew and I are left unsupervised.
It's okay.
So anything's going to happen today. If you thought last week was, fire, just wait till you get to this episode for sure. We're, running they've let us loose, and I think it'll be a fun one, Andrew.
I do too.
Yep.
And we had the same topic in mind, telepathically.
Well, which is, rare. Normally it's my job to give the topic, but today we both had the same one. So great minds think alike, I like to say, and there's no Tony, so we'll go with that today. We must be the creative geniuses behind all of this.
I want you to introduce it, and then I'm going to introduce it, and I guarantee it'll feel different, and then we'll talk about it. You introduce it.
So in our Fit Founders League in school, we have lots of, as we've talked about on the podcast heaps of times, we've got lots of high-level conversations, different conversations. And there was one that really stuck with me where you created it actually, Andrew, talking about, do we spend more time creating than we do consuming? And that is a big topic and can cover all sorts of things. And there was a lot of good conversation and even some discourse back and forth about what does it mean to create, and what does it, you could consume something which leads you to create something, or be doing both at the same time. So I thought that one was a really interesting one to dig into, as it's giving people a little peek behind the curtain as to, what goes on in school and the sort of conversations we're having, which are very different to, should I go and buy the latest Bulldog scrubber to clean my floors? Or is it, things that are going to help people think critically and move forward? But I'm going to let you now do your introduction to this.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I'm honored that you liked one of my posts, because Tony does these long, super in-depth posts, and then I'll throw a quick one. And that led me to that is, so the whole thing is like, do you create more than you consume? And when you stop and think about that for a second, I mean, we consume so much shit. And could you literally fathom if I would say we're probably at a 97 to 98% consume rate and a 2% create rate. Could you even imagine if you brought it to a 30-70? And it actually fired me up enough that I created something. We can talk about that later, but it fired a lot of people up, because then people were like, well, what's actually creating? And then I had to define it. I said, it has to produce revenue. And they're like, well, money is not about money. But in this world, calories in, calories out, money in, money out, exchange for time. Good. And that's where I posted the video from Baby Boy, one of my favorite movies. Commerce, goods and services. Are you a spender or are you a seller? And everybody wants to be tough nowadays and to be like, no one's coming to save you. You need to get up and work and hustle. But if you're not creating and you're just waking up early to set an alarm, you're not creating anything.
Well,
and go ahead.
No, you go. I don't want to interrupt your train of consciousness.
It's to the point where I'm like, all right, if I'm getting up to work out, it's great. You're not creating anything unless you documented the workout. It's going on a social media platform. You're making revenue through a YouTube channel, or it's an X account, or, there's lots of different ways to monetize. And of course, every once in a while, I bring my wife into these conversations, and everyone deep down wants to be some sort of influencer. I don't think we want to do it in a douchebag way. I just think that we see someone like a Mr. Beast or a, name your favorite influencer on YouTube, on TikTok, on whatever. And you're like, wow, they actually don't have to work for money. Yes, they do, because they have to create.
And two things, but I'll touch on that one first because that's the most recent thing. But I had a bit of a light bulb this week about creation, because I have another side project, and I decided to be very intentional with creating content for that this week, and just to see what the algorithm did. And, views went up by 2,500 just by a new daily thing, and then seeing what the algorithm did. But as I was doing it and I was coming up with ideas for what I was going to put on there rather than just podcast clips, but actual other, clips. I was like, holy fuck, being a content creator is a full-time job. So yeah, when people say that, it probably took me, and I'm not very good at it, but so maybe it took me, 3 hours to come up with an idea, record it, edit it, get it on, yet make it seem like it was a spontaneous thing that had just happened. Like when people say that, like Mr. Beast, for example, and other, influencers don't work. It's a job. It takes time to carefully craft something to get the desired result.
I think why people are so romantically attracted to it, though, is because they're creating the content that they would want to consume.
Correct. And, as we've learned, on this podcast, the content we want to consume and that resonates with us is maybe not what, the affiliate owners and coaches want to consume or interested in digging into more. The other point that I want to touch on, and that Tony says all the time on this podcast, that, as a business, if you're not innovating, you're going to die.
Yep.
Now, innovation by its nature is creation. So if you're just spending your time scrolling social, seeing what your competitors are doing, and then doing that, then you're not creating anything, you're consuming, and then you're just becoming a cookie cutter of what everybody else wants. Or if you're sitting waiting for somebody to save you and give you the answers and just tell me what to do and I'll go do it, again, there's no creating there. So therefore you're not innovating, therefore you've got a short lifespan.
And even positive consumption. I go take a course, I up my credential. These are all great things, all right, to become a better coach. I'm not creating, I'm not innovating unless you
do something with it.
Unless I took, if I took a photography weekend seminar, I just consumed content. Now, am I going to go create my own business? Am I going? So I think why also people are attracted to more of the online, and specifically it was an online thing for me, because I have been in the space where I was in online creation. Matter of fact, we're going to have Dave on the podcast. Maybe we can talk about that. He would love to. And yes, like it does exist. However, there is such a, when you innovate in a business that's a brick and mortar business, like a CrossFit gym, it requires capital. So you're taking a huge risk. If Lisa just wants to start her own YouTube channel, there's a camera here and there, but really the onus is all on you. It's all on your effort, your dedication, whether you're creative enough for your content, whether it's catchy enough, whether people want to freaking see it. And so that is where I think people are attracted to. I can start to create and make money with no overhead. And that is true. That is true in 2024. Case in point, do a lot of people watch this on YouTube, Lisa, or no?
A few.
Okay, a few. Well, those few people are going to be really, really, really excited when I show this. So I got inspired by my own thing because I was thinking about that. And I was like, man, what do I actually like to do? Like a lot of people don't know. I'm in a whole nother sector of the world in finance and unique niches that I do. And I was like, I spend all of my time in Discord groups, which is very similar to a school group, but it's consuming and learning. Now I go apply that learning to buying stocks and trades and et cetera. But I'm like, man, I'm sick of like spending all my time in here and getting no return. So I've always looked, Twitter is a place where, or X is a place where a lot of people in the finance world go. And little did I realize that if I just tried, so these are called impressions. Oh, there we go.
Yep, there we go.
I'm at 145,000 impressions in 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I'm on my 5th day.
Yeah.
So once I hit 5 million, which I'm on track to do in 90 days, I get paid by X because that's the way their business works. X's business is different than Instagram's influencer business is different than TikTok's, is very different than YouTube. I'm just ranting because I know a lot about these
Yeah.
how people make money on these things.
But I,
So go ahead.
yeah, no, I think that, you know, just to touch on your point about, consuming like a course or something, and then, then do you do something with it? There's also a larger than they would like to admit percentage of people who will sign up for a course and do the thing because they think that just by doing that thing, that's going to help their problem.
Yeah.
So, they think, well, if I just do this course, so I'm probably going to trigger a lot of people here, but how many people think that, well, if I do my level 3, that's going to solve all my problems because I've got my level
Exactly.
3. And that's not the magic pill. That's not
No.
that's not the matrix moment. That is, you've then got to go and go, well, how do I then pull on this lever to improve my business? What do I create from that? And then,
Correct.
Conversely, you see 99% of people, maybe that's too high a percentage, I just made that number up. People who get their level 4, because that's such like the pinnacle of what people aspire to in the CrossFit space as a coach, they will all go off and start a coaching development business.
Yeah.
So they've got that, and they're like, now what do I do with it? I have got this title now. What can I do with it? So they will go and create something. Whereas people at level 3 are like, well, I'm just getting at level 3 and it'll make my business better. Instantly, hundreds of people will flock to my gym. So it's that whole feeling like, if I just sign up for the thing or just do the thing, then that's going to save me. So I'm going to do the photography course, and now I'm going to get invited to take world famous photos and become the next Dan Geddes of baby photos. But
Right.
what did you do with it? What did you create? And people lose sight of the need to, take action and get distracted then by acquiring, like you said, acquiring knowledge and skills without ever actually doing anything with that.
In content, and you're absolutely right. And when I say create in the word content, I think that where CrossFit gym affiliate owners miss the boat the most is that they are not creating contents to their specific avatar client. And
Well,
a
they
lot
don't
of
know
them,
who that is.
they
They
don't know
just
who
want
that
everybody.
is. Yeah, and when you want everyone, you get no one. Like, I can nail down my gym specific avatar client. They're people who are ages between 21 and 50. I know that's a big age range, but there are types of people who like to wear like cool new socks. They're not going to wear old socks, right? They're going to buy new Noble. They're going to be in that trend. They also like to drink a little bit and party, and they're in a community to have friends. So they like to joke around with one another. We have a lot of people that compete for, like, they call it the average Joes in the gym. So they enjoy the competitive atmosphere without it being so over the top douchebag. We used to call it hardcore casual.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like a mullet in the back and like not something nice in the front. So they enjoyed the element of competition, but they wanted to be able to say, I'm a little hungover today, but I'm going to send it. And you know what? I think a lot of CrossFit gyms, they do fall into a similar avatar as I just mentioned, but then we knew how to market to those people and talk to those people.
And we had EC on the podcast some time ago now, so we're definitely due to reinvite her. But talking about, social media, and I'm glad that like Tony's not here today, so we can talk about social media because this is
Well,
his
he's
least
got to be on
favorite
it now. I
subject.
forced him once a week. No, he
That's
skipped
right.
this week,
But we talk about social media as in, it's like a rock concert, and everyone's yelling to get their point across because there's all this other loud stuff, these distractions coming in. And there is someone over the other side of the room who needs to hear what you have to say. But if you don't know how to talk to them, and because you're having these millions of conversations with people you don't even know about, but if you don't know how to talk to them, then they're never going to hear you. And that person who needs
Right.
you and will find you, they won't ever connect with you. And, when you ask gym owners, because we talk to, so many of them in our work here, it's like, well, who do you want to attract to your gym? Oh, just people who, into exercise and want to get fit. People don't, that's not why people are joining your gym. Like, yeah, they'll come in and tell you that they want to lose, 5 pounds, 10 pounds. They want to, be able to run around the block. What they really want is not to have to get undressed with the lights off. They want their partner to be attracted to them again. They want to feel good about themselves. They don't want to feel self-conscious. Now, when we talk about that and the avatar of your ideal client, then people are like, well, oh, I just want mums, or I just want, no. It's understand that deeper level. Like you said, with the avatar that you have is about, we understand what they like to do. We understand what motivates them. We understand what drives them. So we can create a space that cultivates that, where you can, sure, you can come and just send it today, or you can hang out and have some banter and just, do what you need to do today, because you can cultivate that culture because you understand what they need and what keeps them there. Why do they keep coming? And a lot of gym owners, when we've asked them, say, well, look at your longest term members. Why are they still there? Oh, well, they enjoy the classes. And that's not why they're there. You need to sit down with them and take them for a coffee and ask them, why are you still here? What's made this sticky for you? And then go create a message from that you can go and talk to other people who need that, because your longest term, most valuable members, they're the ones you want 100 of.
Right.
Yeah.
And they exist, right?
Yes.
So I think I know the problems that I see with owners is it's the classic funny memes where it's like the office job guy is waking up at 7 a.m. to go sit in front of his office job to make $40,000 to $60,000 a year, and some girl on TikTok who's 14 making $147K a month. And people like to live in two worlds. That's not really that real. It doesn't happen. It does happen. It definitely happens. And then they're like, well, that's not fair. And then I go back to, no one's coming to save you. Life's not fair. So instead of hating the player, hate the game or join the game. So and I hate to tell owners, like, you can't necessarily do that inside of a CrossFit gym, but find your second hustle. Where is your muscle? You had so much muscle when you came into this gym to start this gym. What happened to that person? Where is he or she living now? Are you living? Did you put that to rest because you think you won? All right. Well, if you won, then your gym must be, you must be financially free, et cetera, enough that, whatever you want out of life. And for the most part, it's not. So that's why I say create, keep creating, whether it's in the business or a separate business or something.
Well, yeah, and it's about that being, I actually had an interesting conversation with a coach yesterday talking about how, this, I don't know if we're up to about the third generation, but the second or third generation of affiliate owners that are now coming in, they might be buying an existing affiliate or might be, opening their own, have this awareness of the need for this to be a business and evolving and looking at some key things. And generally they're a little more open to feedback and input and advice. For those that opened, an affiliate way back when, we all opened our gym back then as like, oh, I'm going to have this cool space and I've got somewhere to train, and we're just going to, I've maxed out my credit card to get some kettlebells and a dumbbell, and we're just going to go ham at it kind of deal. And it wasn't, it was a hobby. It wasn't really a business. People still had their main job and that sort of thing. And then it just kind of turned into this business as it grew. And I think, when you ask about, where is that muscle that you came into this with? I think for some of those first generation of owners, they're either burnt out and have felt like, and I've actually had people sit in a room and have this conversation going, no, I've tried everything. Really? I've tried everything, because, they've just basically thrown mud at the wall, see what sticks, and never sort of intentionally curated and created the business, the life, the facility that they want, and allowing the facility to service that for them. So, understanding where they want to be in 10 years. So then where do I have to be in 3 or 5 years to get there? Where do I have to be in 1 year? And, that's something we're very big on here at Fitfiliate with our clients is like, what is the big dream? What is the big reason? And then how does all this other stuff support that? And let's be intentional about that. So rather than just doing scattergun approach on social media platforms, showing people with 200-pound snatches, like, am I intentionally creating and crafting a message to talk to the people that I want to see more of, that I know that I can help more than anyone else. Like in my affiliate, I knew that if I had a games athlete, I could train them, no drama. They'd be a weapon. But that's not what filled my cup every day, what made me, happy. I knew it was a mum who, got her confidence back after a baby, or felt empowered because she had her discovered confidence that she never knew she had, or a dad who's losing his dad bod, like that kind of thing. That was my jam. Or someone who came and said, you know what, this gym saved me from feeling lonely. So then my messaging and my content that I created was very intentional and specific at those things, rather than come here and train.
And what people, they don't revisit that. You need to revisit that frequently, because what fills your cup 5 years ago may have changed. It's changed for me multiple times.
But if you don't know where you're going, if you don't know what the big dream is, then you've got no idea of even, well, what can I do that fills my cup that's going to get me there?
Right. And when I tell people to revisit that, like, I heard Machine Gun Kelly on Logan Paul's podcast, which is hilarious that I'm bringing those two up. But he said he's in a recreation phase. I mean, the guy's an artist. Love it or hate it, I mean, he's had hits in every single genre of music and has done XYZ. And he's like, you recreate yourselves and yourself every 7 years. Like, you're a new person. So if you started your affiliate in 2008, some things might have changed, or you just remain the grumpy old man in the yard saying, get off my grass. That's what those people are. If I regave the What is Fitness lecture, I would probably put that in there mentally and psychologically. I would say that reaching for an element of fitness that's high, that we recommend in CrossFit, will also keep you from being the grumpy old man in the yard saying, get off of my lawn, because you're going to constantly be using new brain synapses to try to maybe learn or keep skills.
Well, it's, a key component of the 100 words of fitness: regularly learn and play new sports. And, that doesn't even have to apply to when people take it literally, like learn and play new sports, but regularly learn and play new things in your business, like apply. And I know we've talked about it before, and this might be something that generates a post in the school group today, is like, how do you apply the 100 words of fitness in your business context? Like, are you repeating successful actions? Eat meat, vegetables, fruit, nuts and seeds, the whole thing. Like, are you repeating successful actions? Are you doing the things that are uncomfortable but are going to move you further forward? So whether you understand your metrics, or even bothering to look at your metrics and understand that. And is that like doing, pirouettes and handstands and L-sits? Is that moving your body through space and time? Because everyone wants those because they look sexy, but no one's practicing them because, that's hard and I'm not good at it. So how do we, take that foundation that we bring to our members? How do you bring that attitude into your business and go, how do I learn and play in my business and create things to make, we're already unique. That's why we love the affiliate model at Fitfiliate, because every affiliate is unique. Yours is different to mine. Mine is different to the one down the corner. And standardization is the thing that we're most afraid of as a threat to the affiliate model. So if you learn and play and be creative, like, that's going to push your uniqueness. So then when people come knocking on the door and go, oh, well, CrossFit down the block is $50 cheaper a month, and it's just CrossFit, it's the same. It's like, oh no, come on in, let me see. And then, people will experience that, oh, this is not the same.
Right.
You're leveraging and able to pull on your unique strengths. But again, it comes back to the whole point of this. You've got to be prepared to create and understand why you want to create it, what it is you want to create, and what's your, what's your big end goal? So how does everything I do, every action, support that?
And that's why we created the school group. It is. I mean, if you truly think about it, like that came out of necessity for creation, because people are going, I call it off chain, or off whatever. They're going off of just Facebook groups. Facebook groups were like a big deal if you really think about it before, but it's garbage now. It's for some reason, it's not a good platform. Yeah, I'm sure they're improving. I can see they're trying to implement things like school does, or et cetera. And I don't think school is like the most perfect platform anyway. It's just digital technologies are changing and people are changing with it. And like, to get people in that room, they know it's paid for. It's a small amount, but it's paid for. So at least you have to have some type of involvement, skin in the game. Yeah. And then we actually are looking at who is joining versus just giving any Tom, Dick, and Harry an option to be in here.
Yeah. And, it's interesting. Like, I've been involved in, particularly recently, because it's connected to the project, is in some of these Facebook groups. And there's so many like arbitrary, rules. But generally these groups, if they're targeted at a niche market, at a particular demographic, it's set up by somebody who's using that to harvest clients and to I want 3,000 people in this group, and people join it because it's free and they see the title, and it's like, one of the rules, and this is my annoyance this week, but is no promotions or spam. Everything needs to be approved by admin. Great, I'm trying to keep quality in the group. However, that admin is the person who promotes all of their own podcast, books, speaking, a $5 Zoom meeting you can go on and talk about your feelings, like what the actual. And it's like, hang on a minute, that's like the idea of, and which is why we went to school, is is you can have a community where people can have high level conversations about things that mean something.
Yes.
And no one's going to come in over the top with a sales pitch for a start.
Right.
It's not a, hey, we want to harvest you from here. It's like, hey, come in here, interact. And as we talked about on a previous episode of the podcast, it's about that mentoring concept, which is exactly what CrossFit was in the early days of the forum. It's like, hey, how did you do this? I know, and we very rarely in there talk about, tin tack, actual stuff. Matt went in there the other day talking about a solution for fixing skipping ropes. That's actually a very rare instance. Whereas, there are other posts in there where we're talking about this bigger stuff. Like we had a member post just yesterday about the episode we did with Chase 2 weeks ago about the intensity, and and their reflections of that episode, talking about where do you put intensity in your daily life, not just in workouts.
Right.
And looking at reflections on that. So it's that space where you can say, I don't know, or, I know some of your posts, Andrew, I've read it and I'm like, oof, I'm going to need some time to think about this before I put a reply. Like, that's not just a scroll through, keyboard warrior, angry typing thing. And I can actually take the time to thoughtfully reply, and that's okay. It's not one of those, where the group, where everything changes. And well, we were talking about that last week. Don't comment on that post. We're not talking about that anymore. Like, some of our older posts are still getting conversation from people, which is fantastic.
Rightfully so, because this is where when I tell people to get in school group, what I always envision is it's young owners who go through and look at all the feed, even from weeks ago, and then they can still find a comment on it. And then we get re-engaged back in where we were, because they're the ones that are hustling and looking and being like, wow, I'm dealing with that. I want to be inspired by that. And then they're in that moment. That moment still exists in the school group. It doesn't go away. And for some reason in like Facebook posts, you got to like scroll down. No one kind of does that anymore. It's just, I don't know.
It's too big. It's overwhelming. And the way that, we've intentionally created and curated that school group to meet that ultimate end goal is having a place where people can think critically ask questions and also challenge each other to be better. I know, people have done a post in there about something, and someone else, not someone from Fitfiliate, just one of the other members has come in and asked them, a really powerful question to reframe the way that they think. And that's how everyone in that group is making everyone else better, rather than just, well, did I just spend 20 minutes doom scrolling and decided that I don't need to buy a new floor washer, or maybe I should have bought it 10 years ago, or whatever. Like, if I see one more of those posts, man. But do you know what I mean? It's a powerful shift, and it does encourage people to create. And rather than, so, when I read one of your posts, I don't just consume it and click like and move on. Sometimes I'll click like and then I'll go back to it in a couple of days after it's percolated through my brain. And, I'm crafting a response. But from that, I may either create something different, whether it be a thought pattern, whether it be something physical and tangible, whether it be a behavior. There is something that generally will come out of most of those conversations. And I know, Tony is Tony, and he speaks in, longer language, I guess, for want of a better word, longer, sort of deeper posts. But again, I'll read those and go, I need to think on it. And it's okay to do that. Whereas I find with Facebook and other groups, you feel like you've got to have an immediate reaction, which if you thought about it, that probably isn't the reaction you really want.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, an immediate reaction, what I'm finding on my X account journey is immediate reactions are important on that platform, because when you're going for impressions, you want to be the first that people see. Now, that being said, if you're very quick and creative, which I do zing myself to be that, my brain bounces around like this all the time. So giving it that injection of, whether it's heroin or cocaine, I don't know, but it works, right? It works to get it out of there real quick, and then I can go back and check later. Case in point, I mean, one of my, do you know the show Outer Banks?
Yep.
Okay. So when you're in a niche in the X community, which I am in, two small niches in finance, you have to follow the little accounts. You got to interact with the little guys. That's who we are. And so you have to interact with them kind of like you do in school or a Discord, but you have to have some big swings, right? So a big swing would be Sports Center comes out with a tweet. I think we still say tweet. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we still say tweet.
And then you're one of the first people that talks about the game or says something clever or offers value. And so for me, like Netflix showed something of the new Outer Banks thing, and I was like, oh, it's John B. And I did like a funny emoji or a funny GIF. And that thing got like 10,000 impressions because it was one of the first. And people are like, yeah, John B. Like, I love John B. So dumb. But what X does make you do is if you're not bringing value, you're spelling words wrong, or people don't think it's funny, or so they use AI to know the algorithm. So you will be rewarded. And it's just so insane because it's like, you can get your blue check mark taken away too. It's like you signed up for that though. So it's really, really strange because you got to take some big swings, you got to interact with the little guys. And that's besides the point, because that's a little thing for me. But I think of people when they're just doom scrolling, thinking about their neighbors or what the next gym's doing or whatever. Like, I'm at least creating because I'm creating content to eventually monetize it. And that makes me feel better than if I'm just consuming.
And I think
if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it does, because sometimes when you're just consuming, and let's even bring it back to something that people will understand inherently, which is nutrition. So if you're just consuming, you're going to feel like crap at some point because all you're doing is just input. And, you're going to feel like a slug sitting on the couch on your fifth packet of Doritos or whatever it is. Like, you're just going to feel. So you need to create, as in movement, to flush the system and feel better. So if I'm just sitting on my socials and I'm consuming, and you get off and you're like, you almost feel like you've got a hangover. Like it's like my head's full. I don't even know where to focus on. I've ridden the emotional roller coaster of everybody else's life for the last 10 hours or, an hour. And then it's like, what did I get out of that?
Yeah.
And I'm not using it for anything. So it just sits there like, if I eat a butter chicken, you may as well just blue tack it directly to my ass. That's where it's going to stay. Like this is just blue tack to my brain and just staying there, not adding any value, but just cluttering up the space so that I can't then go and do something productive with either if I did learn something, what I learned, or even changing something within me.
Agreed.
So I think that's the risk if we're continually consuming, is it just adds junk to the brain. I mean, Twitter is more, or X. I'm still 2009. I'm still Twitter.
Yeah.
Like that's where I live. But it is fast paced. So you've got a constant. If you you're intentional about it. So I'm creating this with the intention of generating impressions or conversations or whatever. So
to generate revenue.
Yeah, which is the ultimate end game. But you're intentional about it. I'm not just posting that, I had the worst cup of coffee this morning just because you wanted to.
Yes, and so that's what people do, is they mindlessly go on Instagram on a story and they're like driving to work, and it's so what they think is that that's going to get them money someday. Like some magical fairy is going to come down and say, you know what, Lisa? I loved your drive story. Here's $1,000 a month. Yeah. And if people got out of that mindset and were more intentional, like you just said, I'm doing something for a reason. And it is okay not to do that. Like Tony, he hates social media, etc. But I'm pretty sure, I've never really asked him, I'm pretty sure Tony also built a successful social media at some point.
Oh,
so yeah, it's not like he doesn't know how to do it.
Yeah, it's not that the game got too hard and he got out. He made a choice for what fills his cup and is intentional about that. He understands it's a tool, and so he uses it very strategically and pulls the lever when he needs to. He's not just, hey, here's a picture of my dog. Like that's which is essentially what his social media would be.
Now I will tell you this. There are other, so TikTok's a big one. I know we're just talking about it, but people are going to waste their time on something. And are you wasting your time, or are you creating? That's what I tell my wife. So my wife is a consumer of TikTok, but she doesn't she's in no way bad, or consumes too much. And so there are periods where, we won't consume anything. So it's like, and then I just like the human brain. I'm like, well, why does this get you? And it's because things she likes, the algorithm punts right to her. But it's not people necessarily. It's, hey, I'm a mother, it's postpartum, it's pregnancy, it's working out while pregnant, it's nutrition, it's baking bread, it's being a stay-at-home mom type stuff, it's style, and it all gets mashed right into her.
Yep. Every time.
And it's videos, and then from the videos you can buy the thing or you can do whatever, and a lot of it's humor, so it's entertaining, and it just keeps you there, right? And they're quick and short. It's got a similar to X, where it's like quick and short and etc. And she's perfectly fine just being a consumer for entertainment.
Yes.
I know that if she wanted to create, I'm always like, God, you should just create. You should, babe. Like people want to know everything about you. You already give away all this information. You had 3 babies at home. You're CrossFit Regionals athlete. You've done so many things. And she's just like, shut up.
Yeah.
I don't want it. That doesn't fill my cup to create it all.
And she's intentional about her use. Is
right.
That, like when I first, got on that platform, the first thing that was shown to me were these dogs and animals leaping, and there'd be this little wee sound. And I spent an hour my wife came out to me because she's like, what is wrong with you? Because I was just laughing, tears rolling down my face. I went, that made me feel good. And I would go on every day just to watch that, particular set of video, because I knew that didn't matter what my day was. So I was intentional about it. But you're right. If you can either go on and mindlessly do it. So like Jen's not sitting there just, well, I don't want to do the washing or the folding or deal with the kids, so I'm just going to scroll on TikTok for 2 hours.
Right.
it's intentional as like, this is my decompressed time. This is what I want to do.
Correct.
And and I guess even, when people discover that there's something that they like, usually their default is, how do I monetize this and turn it into a business?
That's me.
So
that's 100%.
That's 100% you. And that's, for example, Tony takes the most amazing photos and could sell them, but he said, but then it becomes a business and I'm not going to love it as much. And
Well,
this
that's
is my
why,
thing
and that's
that I
why
do that
Tony
I
and
love.
I work together. Well, there's an element of I love the concept of the story of Robin Hood. Matter of fact, I love the company Robin Hood, and you know that. You steal from the rich, you give to the poor, et cetera, because everyone wants to complain. Everyone wants to, little man can never get ahead, and the billionaires do X, Y, Z. It's like, no, what you do is you attempt to steal from the rich and give to the poor. So when I look at a Mr. Beast or somebody who is making all this money, I'm guessing that they are probably more generous to others because they are stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. Because what did the rich used to do? The Warren Buffetts of the world, et cetera, they just sit and buy these old school companies. And then you have someone like Robin Hood come in and steal market share and steal clients because they're offering a newer, hipper, better service. Have they gotten in trouble? Yeah, sure. You got to get in a little bit of trouble if you want to stay current and stay cool. But that's just
I think that people tend to avoid that because they want to stay safe.
Yes.
Because, and it's funny, I was writing a piece yesterday where it was, as a child, I would actively avoid. So like if mum said to me, you got to be home by 4:30 p.m. I was home at 4:29 p.m. That was, I actively avoided because you did not want to get in trouble. And I've always avoided that. And I think from our childhoods, that tends to flow onto a lot of adults, which is, again, why we get scared to create and play, because that's seen as frivolous and wasteful. Why are you playing when you should be working? You should be earning. You should be grinding, versus creating and playing seems like a waste of time. So we stay safe, and we're like, we don't want to be the Robin Hood because I don't want to get, someone might say something bad about me on the internet or whatever. Like someone who I've never met will say one bad thing, even though I've got, 5 gazillion amazing things. And we let that hold us back from then playing, creating, pushing the boundaries. We fail at the margins of our experience. But we stay well within those margins because it's safe and comfortable.
Yep.
And I don't want to get in trouble. And everybody wants in business, I believe, wants to stand out, wants to be unique. But then that's also their greatest fear. Because if I'm in a field of one, that's really fucking scary.
It is.
Yeah.
And I like what you said there. It kind of made me think about my own parenting. Because these things do, and we'll put a bow tie on it because you and I can go forever. But I think when people hearing this, go decide. Are you a creator for fun? Are you a creator for a goal and purpose of money or whatever? But I think like taking into account, it's okay to fail. Like you had to be home at 4:30 because you would show up at 4:29 because of the fear of getting in trouble. I almost want my kids, especially my boys, I almost want them to push the boundaries a little bit. I'm gonna say, hey, don't be home past 4:30. Okay, we'll leave that up to you. I didn't tell you to be home early. I just said don't be home past 4:30. And more than likely, they come home at 4:34. I'm like, hey, what's up? Why are we late? And I can give an opportunity. Hey, honestly, I was having so much fun. I just lost track of time. 4 minutes late. That's chill. And then, or hey, why were you late today? And we're like, just fucking didn't pay attention. You're like, oh, okay. Well, so that you disrespect because you didn't pay attention. Like I want them to be able to have, hey, I can feel it's okay, or just the self, like recognize, I actually intentionally was late because I was being present, or I'm intentionally late because I'm just aloof, lazy, and not giving a shit. And that's both can happen.
And it's understanding that intention and realizing that behind everything that we do, whether it is conscious or unconscious, there is intention. But the more, that we can harness that and be conscious of it and actually choose what our intention is, our power to do anything is unlimited. Like, you could pull on any lever you want and it's going to get you to where you want to be. But if you're just going with the current and going, oh, well, everyone else was staying out, so I stayed out and just going with the flow, you're never going to have that opportunity to really to see what you're capable of. And I think, in the school group, everyone's, they see like every affiliate's different and every a coach and affiliate owner in there is different. So someone will talk about something and someone else like, wow, I've never thought about that. Or how can I take that and adjust it and apply it to my situation? And so then they intentionally go and do the thing. Like they're in that group. What can I contribute? But also, how can I help other people? And also, how can I, make myself better today? It's intentional. It's not just, let's just, there's a lot of people who something will happen on social media and they will go to certain accounts just to read the comments.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they'll spend all day doing, just reading, eating popcorn, reading other people's comments. It's like, okay, what was your intention in that? Like, what did you want to get out of that? Or what were you contributing to that by being just a passive observer? Like, is your life better for standing watching someone else's argument? Or could you have either done something to change the trajectory of it or made yourself better from that?
Yep.
So I think that's the power of a positive groupthink. Like we often bag groupthink here as in, people then just mindlessly follow the same path. And that's, good, bad, or indifferent. And that's not what we're about. It's about let's critically groupthink. Let's critically move together so we all rise together.
Yep. Love it.
Perfect. All right. Good chat, sir. I love our we should just do a little sideshow, the Lisa and Andrew
side
show.
one. Yeah.
But thank you for your time today and look forward to the next one.
All right. See you soon.
See you.